Now, there was this movie some years ago, it's called Network. Not the one with Keanu Reeves. It's with some other guy. At a certain point, he sticks his head out of the window and says, I can't take it anymore. You know, it's like one of you in this class raising your head and saying, you are full of bullshit. This is boring. This is irrelevant. I don't care for any of this stuff. And you slam your book to the floor and you walk out. Why don't people do that more often? Well, lots of different reasons. Social pressure, you know. Pressure for the future. You want to graduate, make money, get a job, find stability, all that stuff. So the first thing that the bird in the cage comes to realize is, I used to sing. What the hell happened to me? I never sing anymore. Why? Well, you used to sing. First, you used to sing for yourself. It sounded really good to your own ears. Then after a while, you said, why don't I share what I hear with other people? And you did. Only to realize people don't really care. It's the painting by Edvard Munch, Norwegian painter. It's called The Scream. You know, initially you scream when you're born and your parents run to you. They give you milk, they take care of you. Then as you age and you're screaming, it changes a little bit. And then little by little they stop running to you. They say, oh, just take care of your own stuff, I'm busy. And it begins at a very young age where you realize it doesn't really matter how loud you scream or how much you scream, your parents simply are far too busy. And what you have in the painting is, you know, you think that people have compassion and forgiveness and empathy and all that stuff, and life is tough for you. You scream, and there are people, but no one cares. And so what happens is, you scream, but now you don't scream outwardly, you scream inwardly. You know. And if you go back to Sigmund Freud, the boiler system that we have on the inside, you scream so much for so many years that after a while you just explode. You either have a stroke, or you go out there, you hit someone, you become profoundly abusive to yourself or other people. So the first thing you need to understand is, this bird used to sing, and is okay with being quiet. At a certain point, he wants to sing but doesn't know how to go about it anymore. He had wings. Consider wings to be hopes and dreams that all of us in this class have had. Hopes about a good relationship, going to school and finishing up quickly, having children perhaps, being good to your parents, being healthy, whatever your hopes and dreams may be about. Okay? But now you're just wingless. You have no hope. You know, it's something that Mahatma Gandhi had argued, that, you know, 20th century, 21st century capitalism, just the way society is, it doesn't make human beings hopeful. It doesn't make human beings be able to have meaningful lives. Things move around too fast. I mean, imagine going to a party with thousands of people there. Well, you can't really sit with anyone for more than a minute. Everybody's coming and going. And then you go home and you're saying, damn, you know, I was there for 5 hours. I don't know a single name of a single person that was there. I couldn't have a meaningful conversation with anyone. Things move too fast. You know, it's like when you go to a buffet. Your eyes take over. You want to eat everything. And you go home and all you have is diarrhea. You know? And that's the thing with modern age, according to Mahatma Gandhi. All of us are suffering from diarrhea. Not so much physical, but certainly psychological, emotional, intellectual. And God forbid, spiritual. You know, today you're a Taoist, tomorrow you're a Buddhist, the after tomorrow you're an atheist, all sorts of things. So that's the first thing you need to understand about this bird, that there is this awareness, and it's a stinging, painful awareness, that I used to have this, I used to do this, but I have them no more and I can do them no more. You may still be profoundly inspired, but nobody cares. And that awareness creates pain. Pain is about loss. Pain is the opposite of comfort, of health. And you're acutely aware that you have lost something. Now, the grief doesn't just come yet. First, you're a little angry, then you're a little lonely, then you become a little sad, then you become sorrowful, and then you have grief. I mean, you're in this cradle of darkness. And you just sit there. You know, it's kind of like when a love relationship don't work out too well. You sit in your room and you turn off the lights and your mom comes, your dad comes and says, dinner is ready, and you don't answer. I had a colleague at Folsom Lake College, beautiful woman. She moved to Sacramento. She was in love with this guy she went to high school with. She was married with 2 kids, 19 years marriage. And this guy had promised promised her that if she moves to Sacramento, that he also would leave his wife and they would get married. So, and that's a good amount of hope, you know. And the truth is, all relationships, long term, they fizzle out. I mean, they get captured by the politics of life. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, in a culture where couples are left to their own, they don't have extended family, they don't have close bond with other people. All you have, your anchor is your husband, or his anchor is you, that's all. And no one is an infinite well of wisdom, insight, creativity. At a certain point, the well just runs dry. You look at your wife, you feel nothing. You look at your husband, you feel nothing. You look at your kids, you feel nothing. And that's how things are. And so there came a point where her new relationship was really, really rocky. I was there for only 1 semester, less than a semester. I remember one day before going to my night class, I knocked on her office door and she screamed, "Go away!" I said, "It's Amir, it's me." And she used to tell me all sorts of things. But she was screaming. She was screaming because her hopes, they weren't coming true. They were suffering a good amount of wrinkles. She didn't know how to cope with that. She suffered the loss of her marriage, her kids, also the loss of this brand new relationship. So you scream at first. When you're done with screaming and you're tired and exhausted of screaming, all you do is just remain quiet. You don't have the time or the energy to scream anymore. You know, I get airsick, so when I go to places and like Europe sometimes or Iran sometimes, the travel time is about 20 hours. You know, I throw up 100 times. At a certain point, you don't throw up anything except air. And there are moments, many, many moments where I'm in the bathroom throwing up and there's only one prayer I have. I want the plane to explode. I don't want to feel anymore. Okay? And so what happens is you're looking for the ending of things when the loss and the grief is really, 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 really intense. Now remember, you suffer grief because you had something, you lost it. You have to be profoundly aware, and you have to be in the cradle of this awareness. It's not going to leave you. There is a story that comes from Rumi. It's about this old man like me. He's about 70. His beard is gray. His hair is all gone. His back is bent. He can barely walk. But he's rich. So he's going to marry this 15-year-old. And his friends go to him and say, "This is so cruel. You're near the end of your life. She is beginning her life. Just because you have money and power, it doesn't mean you should go and marry her. There's no, I'm young." So the next day he goes to a shop and he dyes his beard black. And he dyes his hair black and he puts a stick on his back and, you know, now he has a straight back. And he goes to his friend and he says, "See, I look young and I'm all Botoxed up." And the friend says, "No, you're 70, you're old. It doesn't matter what you do to your exterior." So knowing that this guy just doesn't know how to listen, hear, He goes to his barn, grabs a donkey. The donkey's like limping, blind, coughing, sick, and the donkey's hair is all like white. So he dyes it all black, and he takes it to the market, and he screams, "I'm selling my donkey for $5 million. And he runs into the old friend of his, he's 70, about to get married. "Well, how much are you selling your donkey?" $5 million. "Your donkey has only a day to live. Look at him. Can't walk, can't talk, can't do anything." He says, "Well, my donkey is very much like you. Just because it looks good on the outside doesn't mean that it's young on the inside." And then the old guy understands. Now, here's the other thing you need to understand about the story. The bird doesn't talk about his lament, about his history, about the fact that he has wings but lost them. He has songs but no longer sings. He doesn't just talk about his or her sorrow to anyone. Are you asking me why I no longer sing because you're curious? Are you asking because you really care? Is your care only from 10 to 10:15? Or is what I tell you, is it going to sink inside you and you're going to go out there, look for a way to remedy my situation? Don't just talk about your stuff to anyone. I mean, you need to understand how difficult this stuff is. Recognize what you have lost. Make sure you've moved into a place of complete silence. You're no longer flying. You know what you've lost. A great husband, or a wife, or a class, or a car, or a parent. And now you're just anchored. You can't move. No desire is intense enough to move you. You have to be focused. Once in a while I get like emails from some people saying, "We want to do a podcast." Podcast for what? How is it different from going to a classroom and talking? And what the hell do you want to talk to me about? And they say, "Well, we want to talk about the ABCD." I said, "Well, that's great. I can come to class and talk about them." That you can't be distracted if you have suffered a loss and you know what you've lost. Consider, forgive me. Her car died, choked up and just died. But she has options. She can buy a bike for, $200. She can steal a bike. She can take the bus, Uber. Imagine if none of those options are available. She has to go to Home Depot, apply, get a job there, save her money. Maybe drop a couple of classes, drop a couple of friends. And now she's focused, and she's going to save her money to buy a car. As long as you have options, what you lose and what you're grieving about means absolutely nothing. Now, this fellow has the capacity, the privilege of being able to hold his behind to India. Now, here's the thing you need to understand. If you were a writer, if you used to write every single day and now you have lost the inspiration, don't share your sorrow with a mason. Make sure you find a writer who's gone through those episodes. You need to have commonality in sorrow, in grief, in loss, in awareness. The bird tells the man, go talk to those birds. They understand loss. If you have cancer, go talk to someone who's a cancer survivor. They will tell you what losses are coming your way. They will tell you what sort of pains you will encounter. They will give you some hopes. And maybe they will teach you how to slowly walk towards death and embrace it. You can't come and talk to me. I'm healthy. I got time. I got hopes. I can sympathize with you, but that's not what you want. Now, for those of you in this class who are looking for detachment, getting rid of your past, or whatever the case may be, you can't force any of this stuff. It doesn't work. But once you're focused on something that's meaningful and valuable, the rest of it will just fall away. Because what you're talking about really is a value system. Do I want to go out with a 20-year-old to have a good time for a day? Do I want to go with a 50-year-old to find stability? And depending on where you are, you know, if you've kind of gone there, done that, and your capacity, it's been tested, you realize you can't really do 20-year-olds anymore. They may be fun for a day, but the shame and the guilt that they leave afterwards, it's not worth it. And it doesn't, from that point on, it no longer matters what sort of a 20-year-old comes your way. You're simply not interested. And even if your eyes look and say, oh, that's great, the other parts of you come down to punish what your eyes have seen. Now, the message that comes to the birth from India is the following. Here's the other thing that we should talk about, which is the cage itself. The cage can be symbolic for anything. It could be about your past. Imagine you've gone with a guy or a gal, things didn't work out, and someone says to you, start dating. But you say, no, you know, I'm still thinking about Joe Schmo. You want freedom from the cage, start dating. No, I like the prison I've created. So after a while you say, okay, fine, live in it. It could be the prison of this class, the cage. Ridiculous assignments, the questions you gotta do. Sitting here every Monday and Wednesday for an hour and 20 minutes. Looking at me, hearing my voice, being disgusted, and yet there is nothing you can do. Sometimes you say, maybe I should drop out school. I say, well, what am I going to do with grades, graduation, money? Will I ever be able to find stability without a good job, without a high salary? And so, all of us have no choice but to live in some sort of a cage. There is a cage or the prison of the culture, prison of your past, your history, prison of your parents, prison of your own temperament. I like to prepare for my classes so I could teach like real classes, college level. But my temperament won't allow it. I can't come to class with notes, look at my notes and say, well, let me tell you what Immanuel Kant said about the golden mean. That's not the way I work. And so, ultimately, it depends what sort of a cage you want to put yourself in. And that brings us to this man named Jean-Paul Sartre. He's a little ridiculous, but as ideas go, concepts go, you know, they're somewhat interesting. Human beings, he argued, they're absolutely free. You can do whatever. Pick your cage. But in order to move into a different cage, you have to get rid of the cage you've been in. And there is your detachment, there is your freedom, there is your grief. All of it very, very difficult. Nearly impossible. For the past hour or so, I've been just talking bumper sticker after bumper sticker. None of this stuff means anything. And even if you were to say, I am ready to change, capacity. Oh yes, I know you've been inspired by something I've said or someone else has said or something you've watched or listened to. But that inspiration, it's not anchored, it's not stable. It comes and goes. Anyone else? Anne. Yes.
What about the cage of the body?
The cage of the body. That comes about at, I mean, sure, we get sick, we lose abilities when you're young, but you don't really feel as if your body is a cage. There is this window that all of us have. Because if you don't have a healthy body, the truth is your imaginations, your hopes and dreams, your pursuits will never be obtainable. It's impossible because you need your flesh, you need your body. If, for example, I like you and I want to hold your hand, I need my knees, my back, my shoulders. I need to be healthy to be able to walk there, to stretch out my arms and hold your hand. If on the other hand, my back, my knees, my shoulders, my arms, things about me just ache, all I can do is just sit here and listen to you and look at you and then begin to suffer because now I have my past to think about, my youth, what the hell happened. And now I realize I'm in the cradle of old age and there isn't much I can do. When you're young, you don't really have that very much. When you get a little older, a couple of things happen. First, your mind moves faster than your body. You want to go to Pete's Coffee, it's only over there, but it takes you an hour to get there. And by the time you get there, you're far too exhausted to sit comfortably and drink your coffee. So you just say, forget it. I'm just going to walk home. Okay. The cage of the body, it also depends on where you are intellectually, emotionally, spiritually even. If you have read the Gospel of Judas, it comes to realize the body. What the hell does the body do really? It creates desires, it creates ambitions, it gives you identity, meaning, purpose, only for a week. Once the desire has been attained, then you realize you're no longer interested. Then you move on to another thing. And your senses really make you a prostitute for things out there. And those things out there eventually lose interest, you lose interest in them, and then you move to the next thing. There comes a point where you say, if my body is nothing but a vehicle through which desires come and go, maybe there is only one way where salvation is reached. Suicide. I mean, not intellectual suicide, unless you're immensely focused, I remember Friedrich Nietzsche was this beautiful writer. He would just write and write and write and write until he got sick. And he got sick relatively young, I think before he was even 30. He had to walk away from teaching, he had to walk away from writing, and he just went insane. Imagine you happen to be a feeler and you walk the streets of Oakland and you see homelessness, you see violence, you see poverty. And as you walk the streets, you wake up relatively in a good mood and you end up in a bad mood and sad mood, sorrowful mood, and you're angry. And then you sit back and you say, I am angry because I walk the streets, I'm angry because of what I see. And then you realize if you were blind, you wouldn't see any of this stuff. And if you're blind, you wouldn't see any of this stuff. You wouldn't have any of the emotions that contaminate you now. رو سر بنه به بالین تنها مرا رها کن ترک من خراب شبگرد مبتلا کن. I went somewhere to have some food some time ago, and I ran into this person I really like. And he had gone to school, he had gotten some degrees in a field that I enjoy very much. And I asked him, so, are you teaching anything? No. Why? There are no jobs out there. Through my ears. First I see Then the past comes to life, my relationship with this person, and I like this relationship. And then my ears hear a story that is sad. And then it angers me. Then I come to campus. Then I say to myself, is there anything I can do? And then I call some people, and eventually a door opens. And I call this person and I say, hey, so-and-so, by the way, I think there is a good chance that you're going to be able to do this class and that class and the other class. Now, what does that do? It takes away my time, it takes away my energy. It's exhausting after a while, just helping people out. And then I say, well, if I don't go out, I won't see. If I won't see, I won't feel. If I won't feel, there are no responsibilities. If there are no responsibilities, I'm completely free. Your body, in it has this thing called consciousness. Lots of garbage has been written about consciousness. To simplify, it's just a bucket, empty bucket. Things are filled in it. Things you see, experience, think about, imagination, all that stuff. Once your body goes away, that bucket goes away. Feelings go away. That's the only salvation that exists. But until then, you know. You know, and I still go on Amazon and I buy DeWalt tools. I don't even make things anymore. But it connects me to the time I used to. I spend money to bring back memories of what I used to do. It's like when my brother and I sit and we talk about how it was when we were 15, we first came to America. We broke into places, we stole bikes and sold them to eat some food. It's beautiful stories. Immoral, maybe at this stage in our life, but profoundly beautiful. Anyone else? There is this beautiful poem. It's 2 pages. I'll give you just a couple of lines. طی شد این عمر تو دانی به چسان پوچ و پستون چنان باد دمان همه تقصیر من است این خودم میدانم که تفکر ننمودم روزی ساعتی یا آنی که چسان میگذرد عمر گران کودکی رفت به بازی به فراغت به نشاط فارغ از نیک و بد و مرگ و حیات همه گفتند کنون تا بچه است بگذارید بخندد شادان که پس از این دگرش فرصت خندیدن نیست بایدش نالیدن من نپرسیدم و هیچ کس نیز نگفت که پس از این ز چه رو نتوان خندیدن سر هر بام که شد خوابیدن کودکی رفت به فراغت به نشاط فارغ از نیک و بد و مرگ و حیات Author, unknown, but beautiful poem. Anyone else? We have time for a quickie. Wolf?
At least it's one. Chris Willis.
It's something that perhaps Anna and I share. To some extent, maybe Andrew and Josh and anyone who has basically caught themselves at certain points. طی شد این عمر تو دانی به چسان. My life passed by. Do you know how? پوچ و بستون چنان باد دمان. In futility, meaninglessness. Like a wind. It came from somewhere and it went somewhere. Sometimes some of us in this class look ourselves in the mirror and say, really? I can't be 60, no. Be 20. And sometimes an act of desperation is you lock yourself in the bathroom and you shave. You say, look young. همه تقصیر من است اینو خودم میدانم. It's all my fault. I can't blame my father. I can't blame my mother. Can't blame the culture. It's my own fault. Why? I never observed. I never reflected. I never paid attention. کودکی رفت به بازی به فراغت به نشاط. And these are stages all of us have to go through. You're a kid. You just have fun. You get to be 13 or 14. You just want to jump on anything that moves. You know, you're like 25. You want to finish school and buy a house and get a job and all that. You're 40, you want to get married and have children. You're 60, you say, what the fuck? Wolf? Any one else before we go home? You guys are so quiet. Well, listen, I apologize if I've made any of you negatively inspired. Inspiration can go up or go down. So from what I see, you guys have gone down. You have another, 5-10 hours of the day left. Go out there. Make it work. Yeah. Yeah. Are we out of time? Well, if you guys want to leave, you can. If you want to stay, if there are questions or things you want to talk about, yeah. Bring in books?
Sometimes there's books that aren't published in any library available online, and they are hard to bring up in person. You ever just read books to kind of keep reference or lessons?
I listen to books I can no longer need. I can no longer read. I can't sit for too long. I get a headache when I look at things. Like right now, I'm just looking at you gives me a headache. I'm just kidding. And the other thing about, and this may sound very arrogant, and it probably is, once you know how to do things, once in a while, I like framing and building things, but now that I know the basics, I no longer watch videos about how to do what I know. Once you know how ideas are formed, once you know how inspiration works and how they connect, and once you know how you can express ideas, it doesn't mean you can't benefit from other people, but you lose a good amount of interest once you know. It's like when you know how to make chicken tikka masala really, really, really well. Once in a blue moon, you go to an Indian place and you just order chicken tikka masala. And then you say, so honey, is mine better or theirs? And if you have any sense to, you say, oh honey, yours is by far better. If on the other hand, you're like moral and ethical and you want to be honest, you say, oh honey, this is far better. And then she'll probably divorce you. Well, it's good to see all of you. Take good care. Thank you for being here and listening. See you soon. Stay healthy. Give this woman a car. Thank you. Hi.
Can you get back to me on the email?
About your questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right now I am grading all the posted items. Once I get done with them, then I go to the emails.
Okay.
So, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes, I see that.
Of course you see that, but I'll be seeing you around.
Okay, bye. Bye, Josephine. Well, you're very kind. Thank you. Take care. I think so. You?
A little, I'm tired.
You work, right? Yeah.